We are live. Okay, so this is the third session where we build the EA tool, and what it is really is just a tool to uh, not just streamline the process of building an expert advisor, but really get more options. So because of the MT5 MCP, and for anyone who's watching this video who doesn't know what that is, it's just the way to connect Claude directly to MT5 and then have Claude control MT5, which basically means that you can prompt Claude to do stuff for you, like backtests, creating EAs, compiling, checking for errors in the code, and basically create an algorithm for you by typing words instead of writing code. We could do that before, but now it's just so much easier because you don't have to copy the code and then paste it and then click the compile button, find errors, debug. It automatically will see the errors, fix the errors, and just the fact that it got so much better. Like we're on Fable now. It doesn't even make that many errors to begin with. So you can really explore so many more ideas. And yeah, so the tool we're building now gives you all that. All of that already exists, but you need a tool to use it. And if you don't have a tool, you can still get away with it, but it'll be inefficient. It'll cost a bunch of tokens, and the chance of mistakes increases. Now, in the last session, I wanted to show you with like a visual, but it wasn't working, and I fixed it, and that's why the thumbnail is called I Fixed It. That's another thing that I got Claude to do, which is pretty interesting, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So I have this tool over here. So this tool right here, iPad mirror, which is funny because it's a literal mirror. It's the same thing. This is my iPad. And I used to pay for a service. I used to pay annually just so that I could screen share basically whenever I want to click a button, connects. And then I told Fable to do it, and it did it. It just like that, easy, very quick. I'll show you in a bit, but first thought this while I was looking here. I want to make sure that I am streaming and can see stuff. Okay, I think it looks good. Yes. All right, now I'm going to show you both this new tool, which is very fun, and I'm going to use it to explain what I tried to explain in the last session, which is why you need this expert advisor tool to really come up with stuff quickly and efficiently. All right, so check this out. This is how the tool works. I just click a button here, which enables it, and then I don't need to go actually to this and click it or anything. It just exists because it's cute. It looks like my iPad. All right, let's see if this works. Pretty sure it'll work, but didn't work last time, then I had to fix it. That was quick. That was pretty quick. And the cool thing is that look at the latency. So the old one, the paid service where I was paying for it, it was really slow. There was latency. It was like a delay of almost not a full second, less than a second, half a second. This is so much faster. Look, that's amazing, crazy. And so it feels like I'm actually typing. That's the power really of AI now, is it can build these sorts of tools. And the what we're trying to do, and I can finally get into it, I've been thinking about this since yesterday, is kind of coordinate the tools that exist. And there's a lot of tools. What am I trying to do here? Okay. So there's a lot of different tools. There's one API, or MCP, I should say. It's called MCP. And if you want, I can show you how to do that, or you can just watch a video tutorial, say how do I get the MCP. Make a really long story short, you just go download the beta version that exists in all the MT5s out there. You just go click update. It shows you beta. You click on it, and then nothing happens for some reason. There's no feedback, but you just wait, and then you have it, and it just does an update, and a little icon shows up, and then you go there and you take that MCP, which is a code, which lets Claude connect to MT5. And the connection has a bunch of little like buttons, we'll call them, and those are the tools that we can use, and that's what I'm talking about here. So you have this pipeline, which is the API. So this is a pipe. My attempt at drawing a pipe. Not bad. Looks 3D enough. Okay. And this is the MCP. Now, the way that actually works is there's a lot of little options inside. So we'll call these options, use a different color, the tools. We got this tool, which is a connection. Okay, we've got this tool is another one, connection, right? And I just want you to imagine that there's a bunch of these different tools. Now, every single time you use the MCP, okay, Claude, and we'll make Claude orange. I should have checked to see what Claude actually looks like. Looks something like that. This is Claude. Has to go and figure out, okay, which tool am I going to use? Am I going to use this one? This one? It just sits there figuring out which one to use, and it gets it right most of the time. And obviously it depends on the model that you're using. So if you're using Fable pretty much all the time, Opus most of the time, the new one, Opus 5. But here's the thing. Every single time that you go for it again, it has to figure out every single connection. So now I'm going to use the same color, but imagine it's a bunch of different colors because it's a bunch of different tools that exist. This one extends, this one extends, right? So there's all these like options, and each time that it goes to use the MCP, it has to read every single one of them, always, in order to choose the correct one. And then once it establishes the connection, so we'll do this, then it will use it. So let's say this is the one we actually wanted to use. It uses it, and then it goes, and then later on, depending on how many processes are required, or I guess how many pieces you have in your process, like do this, and then do that, and do that. It'll do this as number one, okay? And then it'll go read everything all over again to determine, okay, that this one over here is number two, okay? And then it'll go again, and this is number three, okay? This is just so that you can run a single backtest, okay? And like I said, it goes over all of them just to come up with that. Now, what are we building? We're just saying, okay, you did it once, you realized that this is the process, this is the correct one, we verified it. Instead of every single time I ask you to, run the backtest or do whatever it is that I want you to do, don't go over every single one of these points. Default to the one that we have saved, which is this 1, 2, 3 process. Okay, and then we call this 1, 2, 3 process whatever we want, and that's the skill. And the skill is what? The skill right now that we already have built is EA walk, which does this like forward walk test in a specific way that I want it to happen. And this gets indexed. In other words, there's one overarching skill. This main top skill, we'll just make it bigger, EA. And this EA skill leads to all of these other skills. So we have right now only this one, but we're gonna have another one over here and another one over here. And that's what we're building in this kind of series. We're building all of those processes those predetermined walks that will, number one, reduce the chance of mistake. In other words, it'll reduce the chance that Claude decides, I think it's this one over here, and then says, no, my bad. It uses more words. It'll say, it'll be like, honestly and truthfully, you were right, and I'll give you a whole thing. Or even worse, it just won't. It'll choose the wrong thing. It'll think that it's the right thing. You won't know about it. And then that's kind of a human error that this helps to mitigate. You can't solve human error, but it will help to mitigate it, where it'll just take this sequence that we know is good and then reuse it. So what's the point of this? Number one, you save a lot of tokens. So I'm pretty sure pretty soon AI is going to be a lot more expensive than it is now, just because it's kind of subsidized right now. Now, they are making money, these companies, the big companies, but they're subsidizing a lot. They're racing with each other. They're trying to win the market, which is why we benefit the most, because we're getting all this AI, not for free. We're still spending a lot, but really cheap. Pretty soon, it's not going to be that accessible. And so you want to take advantage of this time that you have now to create these processes so that they become algorithmic. Now, here's the thing. In the world of trading, algo trading specifically, you hear algorithm, and you just think that that's what it means. It's an algorithm. It's like the thing that does the trading for you. What is an algorithm? It's just a set of rules. It's like a sequential, do this, then do that. Then do this other thing, and then do that other thing. It's just an order of do, if that makes sense. A set of rules in order. So what we're making here is an algorithm. It's not a trading algorithm. It's not like a trading bot, but it's an algorithm. When you have this algorithm, the reason it saves you so many tokens is because triggering it costs very little reasoning. All the AI has to do, the large language model you're using, whatever it is say, all right, go for this one. We know it gives us this result because it's written down. It's in the index, we have it. So I don't need to think if I'm the AI. If I'm Claude over here. Oh. Give Claude the regular blue eyes. And then Claude becomes happy because it doesn't have to think, it doesn't have to spend tokens, it doesn't have to go through every single one of those just to determine, okay, this is the correct one over here. It knows what to do. So that's pretty much what we're doing. Like, I've tried to, the reason I use this visual is so that I can, really simplify what we're doing, because we're gonna go and get very confused when we try to build the next ones. All of them are gonna be EA something like this. Now we've already built, and this is in the last session, EA walk, which gives us basically a forward test. So you have data. You have all this data. Let me go full screen mode again. You got all this data. Let's use green because they like green for some reason. MT5. You get green and black. Okay, so this is price action for whatever instrument it is. And when you do a walk forward test, what it does is you set the duration. So you choose, from this time period here to this time period here, let's say. If you do a regular back test, it just starts from the beginning all the way to the end, and it runs your test for you. But if you do a walk forward test and you set it to like 2, what it'll do is it'll create an artificial line over here, and it'll say, okay, we're doing 2 tests in the place of 1. The first test goes from here to here, and then the second test goes from here to over here. And now, why is that useful? Because if you have an EA that does really good in an uptrend, In other words, performs really well over here going upwards, but it does really bad in a downtrend, then you can be misled because you're using in sample data. It's not overfit, it's in sample data. Okay, in other words, you do only this test here and you think, wow, this is a great EA. It's not. You do both tests and then you realize, okay, maybe this isn't the best EA. And now what did I want to do, which is what this skill does over here, which we already have, and I'll go back to it and probably use it later on in the streams. What it does is it says, okay, instead of doing walk forward tests like this, what if we do this? What if we go and place a different type of artificial line that kind of overlaps so that we can just get more scenarios with the limited amount of data that we have? And it looks like this. Let me choose, we'll go with this purple color. It'll say, okay, from here to here, but then also, actually, I'm gonna do it this way so it's the most clear. All right, so from here to here is a single test, but then also from here, which is like the middle, down to here is another test. And then, and you see where I'm going with this, right? You're using more, you're using the same data more, basically. We'll go from here, let's say, to here. And so now, in this kind of span, you've gotten a lot of data from it, even though it's kind of the same duration. It's the same amount of data in total. Although I did kind of cheat and add more. Okay, so that's the first period, like period 1. This is test number 1 and walk forward. And then this is test number 2. And then, where's test number 3? From here to here is test number 3, right? And so we've built this already. And I'll show you it in action. And then we ran into a problem. This was like the last session. The problem is that when you use MT5, oh, this is going to take some time to load. But when you use MT5, you run into this problem where it just decides to use one core for some reason. And it's kind of difficult to get it to use more than one core, which is why these backtests take forever. Now we've solved for this. And it's a clever solution that Fable came up with, and I was like, wow, I didn't even know this was an option. And then, you know, now we basically get to use more than one core. So if I go on my task manager, I'll show you what I mean by cores. This is my CPU, and as you can see here, I got 16 cores, right? So each one of those is in my CPU, and MT5 does this thing where it says, I'm only going to use this one. Forget about all the other ones. And then you're just going to wait for hours for your backtest. Why? Why? I wish it would let me use the GPU, because my GPU has thousands of cores. The speed on the CPU is always going to be a lot faster, and there's so much more that can be done, by the way, with the CPU, because it's a different type of core. But for simple calculations, which is basically what we're doing with algo trading, or algo backtesting, I should say, the speed is oh, we have it. I can show you the cores over here. The speed is more than enough for what we're doing. Okay, here's the cores. This is MT5 showing you the same thing, which is the cores. I have 2 of my cores disabled so that when I run the backtest, my computer doesn't kind of freeze. I can watch YouTube while I wait, just because I have 2 of them disabled. But yeah, these are my cores, okay? And the problem, the way that we set up, and this is solved, by the way, but this is the problem yesterday, just giving you a recap. My bad. The problem is it only does one walk forward test at a time. And so you literally wait for 1 to finish, and then 2, and then 3. And now what we've managed to do is have them all run simultaneously, which dramatically, you know, increases or decreases the amount of time that it takes. All right, that's pretty much it. That's the full recap. And now you know the purpose and what we're trying to do. And for today, I hope I get it done today, but could take longer. My plan is to make it so that we have a process just like this one that I explained, where it will open a new MQL5 editor page, basically the IDE, create a new EA, and then also run the EA and save it and have it organized, simply so that it doesn't just get lost in my EAs. Like if you go on your, if you look for your expert advisors over here, extremely unorganized, right? There's no organization. Well, I guess it is, you know, A zeros and then A and then B. So there's that, but it's still difficult. Later on in another session, we'll set up like an actual page that we can go to, organize expert advisors so that it becomes possible to quickly test other people's EAs as well. So while we're building this MQL5 setup tool, where basically you just trigger the tool on Claude and you say, all right, this is the new EA, set it up. It'll name it, it will open the new page in the IDE, it'll set everything up for you. We're thinking about the future because we want it to be organized. Okay, now I can show you finally, because I've gone over everything, an example of the EA walk. Forward test. All right, so let me actually stop the iPad as well. I'm going to say this, run, zoom in so you can actually see the EA walk. Actually, I'll just use the actual skill because it should be saved now, yes. Run EA walk on GBP Now I could just give it all the information, but I added a wizard. So what it should say is, okay, what do you want to, which EA are you using, what's going on? I'll give it a little bit of a hint though. I'll say use the adaptive moving average EA. I should trigger the wizard. And the wizard is just, it's going to ask me like, what do you want? Like, what's the date range? What's the duration of each window? So, like I said earlier, you're going to run multiple at the same time, but it chooses the different times. So that's a window. How long do you want it to be? And I get to choose how long I want each window to be as soon as it gives me the wizard. Once this works, we move on, and the EA walk subskill is completely done. Okay, so it's saying EA resolved, so it found the file. Now checking the symbol and probing tick depth. So what it's doing now is just checking to see how many ticks are available, what is the data range that exists on your PC, so that I can actually, ask. I think the wizard triggered that. If you're watching on a video, this could be the time to skip ahead. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. So one thing that I really wanted to add later on is when it runs these back tests, you know how when you run a back test on MT5 and it'll open a chart and then it'll just leave a chart. And then you have to go manually close the chart, and then you're running back tests. You're not setting up your charts, and so they just stack up, and then you have this like little phase every once in a while, or not phase, a little cleanup that you have to do. You have to go and click X on every single one of those charts. I want it to be automated so that when we're running a back test and we're done, especially if it's a walk forward test where we have a bunch of those charts, just close the charts. Okay, well, you're giving me all the data anyway. You're presenting it nicely. Close all the charts. And I might even add a little skill, which is like close all the charts manually, exclude, and then you choose the few charts that you don't want to close, the ones that you had there in the beginning. So we have options, All right, the wizard appeared. So you can see what it looks like. So total test span for the walk forward, GBP, JPY, real ticks are available from 2024, 7:30. Okay, cool. So it's asking me, do you want full history, 24 months that's available, last 12 months, last 6 months, or you can just choose. So you can choose your own date range. Now, because it's just a quick test where I want to show that this works, what we're going to do is we'll just choose 12 months. Could do 6, but let's give it some time. Get a nice little result, some data that I can show you, and then how to interpret it as well, because it'll give you a little picture that shows you stuff, and I want to show you what that stuff means. All right, here's the windows. So this is the important part. If you're using a algorithm that has trades that don't resolve for like a solid month, then this is going to destroy your results, right? So it depends really on your algorithm, but also you want to be able to have many windows. So it's a balance between, let's have the longest window possible, the more data you have, or the more, basically the longer the window is, like 1 month is worse than 2 months, the better. But at the same time, how many windows in total? So you want to get a decent amount of windows. All right. And here's my options. I can choose between 1.5 months, and it should tell me how many windows there are. I choose that. Largest runnable window under, okay. So many ticks. It's giving me a lot of data. Below the 10 samples, walk forward per window. That will be thin. So it's below 10. That makes sense. Okay. Not telling me exactly how many windows there are. I might have to modify it. But for now this is good. And you could do the math in your head. I guess if it's 12 months and it's a 1 month, then it should say 12 windows how many there are. Oh wait, 23 walks is the windows. My bad. So it is saying how many windows there are. It's just calling it walks. So 15 walks. If I choose 1.5 months, it'll do 15. So I want the biggest number over here. What I was trying to say earlier. But at the same time, the bigger this number, like 23 walks, 47 walks, the smaller this number becomes. So 0.5 months, basically, what is it going to be, like 2 weeks? It's not enough for my EA. So I need to at least go 1 month. 1 month gives me 23 walks, which is nice. It's doable now. But then again, I could always choose this one. So I can choose whichever one I want. Now I'm going to go with, I'll go with 1 month. So 1 month with those overlapping windows, just like I showed earlier in the stream, means that because it starts from the first of the month, and then it starts from the middle of the same month. right? So 12 months gives you exactly double that, which is 24. For some reason it's saying 23, probably because we don't have exactly, oh wait, because you do need to go extend past that month. Yeah, 23 makes sense. I'll choose that. Now here's the thing. It's going to give me a chart showing me which months I was profitable in. I was very tempted to add, oh wait, let's see what this says. Run the walk. This is just confirmation, letting you change or cancel. Yeah, I think Fable decided to take the wizard thing too seriously. It's giving me like an option. What was I saying? Completely lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. So it's gonna show me the visualizer of all of the months that I'm profitable versus the ones that I'm not profitable. I was very tempted to add more information like fitness functions, more results, stuff like that, but I decided to keep it out because that can be done separately. You do that separately, you get the parameter set that you want, and then once you have it and you're ready and you just really genuinely want to test it, ready, you don't want to make any changes to that set, you can put it up. Or something different. When you're building a strategy, you have like a set in mind, but more importantly, you're iterating. You just want really a quick, big picture view. You're not sitting there thinking, okay, how does it perform with the Sharpe ratio versus like the recovery factor or something. No, you just want to know, like, is it dying or not? Do I see some pluses? So it's a quick thing. That's what it's meant to be. All right, what do we have here? 99 charts open, 98 of them GBP. That smells like leaked host charts from earlier runs. Comparing against the previous run snapshots. That's what I meant by there's too many charts and it just leaves them open. And it can cause problems. Running the cleanup again to catch the rest. Yeah, see, that needs to be frozen as well. It's wasting tokens right now. Look, at 6.3. Why? Because this wasn't algoized. It wasn't made into an algorithm. That's why I have that written down. That's why we need that. Look. Little things, by the way. It's just these little tiny things. They'll make all the difference. This is my to-do list. This is my handwriting. If you can't read it, that's okay. I'll read it. Dedicated chart close subskill. So it's a subskill that closes chart. Expand into chart management. So this subskill, if I expand it and make it into like a bigger thing, which I plan on doing later, can have more options. Maybe even like compare these charts with each other, right? Those sorts of things. But first, establish like a nice foundation, and then later on use it to come up with ideas and do things that I don't even know if I'll do yet. I really hope this is working. I have like this YouTube manager for comments in the chat. Oh, I had 2 viewers at one point. What does this mean? Is there a viewer right now? Anyone? Anyone there? Oh, whoever it is lost or left. Lost a viewer. I was too proactive. Guess not. So sad. Alright, back to the thing. We'll just keep going. Oh, oh, there's another viewer. Hi. I see you. I see you. Alright, let me actually get back to it. So what we're doing is we're testing the walk EA walk test. Basically what it does is it'll give me, you'll see the visualizer, it'll do a bunch of tests at the same time. Usually MT5 will only allow you to do one test at it or use one core at a time. And so what that looks like is this. You have these are your cores, right? You got 16 cores, it's your CPU. And when you do back tests, unless you're doing genetic optimization, you won't be able to use them all. Okay, they're being used. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. We just used all of them at the same time. If you were trying to do this test, this walk forward test, without this sub skill, you would have waited a lot longer. This was almost immediate, like instant. I think this sub skill is officially done. Let's just make sure that we do get the visualizer. And then I'll explain how to interpret it. Like, what does the data mean once you get it? There's so many little things that need to be done. So that you can fully, take advantage of this. And there's another thing is if you're using Fable, you can get away with a lot of these things that we're trying to do. But then as soon as you go down to Opus 5, literally Opus 5, even though it's that good, you start to run into problems. But once you turn it into an algorithm and like a very clear-cut process of do this and then do that, then it doesn't have to go through all the options every single time just to make sure that it got the correct one. Less chance of error. I am repeating myself, but less chance of error, and a lot less tokens. Like you're spending a lot less tokens. Literally better and cheaper if you use a dedicated skill. Oh, Hussein. Hi. You're the first commenter on my live streams. Thank you. I appreciate you. If you have any questions, or you want to know what's going on, let me know, because we are like in the middle, but obviously I don't mind explaining what we're doing and where we're at. This is the third stream now, and to make a really long story short, I'm creating this. This is a skill. So EA. So this skill is basically going to make it extremely easy to build an EA. And the way that it works is it's an index. So this skill EA will trigger this skill. And then all the other skills that I don't have yet because I didn't make them yet. And what I'm doing now, exactly now, is I'm running this skill. And what it should do is it should give me results of a walk forward test. But instead of just using one core and then you sit there waiting forever, because that's what it's like using MT5, it does it all at the same time, or it uses all the cores at the same time. Okay, good. None of them froze. Yesterday, some of them froze, and then I fixed it. So all of them are done now. You can see it passed, so it did all of these. And this is a little workaround, by the way, that Fable came up with, where it goes and it uses custom symbols, so it literally will create its own symbol, copy the copy the tick data, put it in another symbol, and then run this type of test. And then when it's done with the test, delete all the stuff that it created so that you don't have a bunch of random custom symbols that don't really mean anything that's incorrect. So I wouldn't call it a hack. It's not a hack. And I also wouldn't call it a glitch. It's like a repurposing of existing functions that nobody tells you not to do. It's your MT5, you can do whatever you want with it. And yeah, it can cut your time by however many CPUs you have. So, or sorry, however many cores in your CPU you have. So for me, I have 16 cores. Let me bring it up. I have 16 cores. And typically what MT5 will do is it will just use this one. And MT5 isn't the only program that does this. But oh, I see a comment. What can we the CA for? Like what can we use the CA for, you mean? Oh, the EA skill for. Yeah, you use it basically to create an EA. So you basically you say, like for example, hold on, let me this. Okay. So for example, you wanna create a new EA. You wanna get Fable to literally do everything. Okay. Open MT5 and MT5 editor and put the code in and have direct access to it and click compile and run the backtest and change the parameters. All those options exist now because of the MCP. Okay. And the MCP, when you have it, it looks like this. So this here appears. If you have this, you have the MCP. Now you don't have it automatically. You have to go on, I think where's help, and then where's update? Here, check for updates, and then here, latest update. So what this latest update does, just so you know exactly before you click it, is it adds the option for the MCP. Now I'm not gonna click on my MCP because it shows you a code that is very private because it literally the MCP can make it so that you can have AI like Claude do the trade for you, like go in a trade and go out of a trade. Okay. And for some reason, they don't have the little I button. You know when you have a private, like a password, and it hides the password. You click the button and it shows. They don't have it. So, yeah, long story short, like why are we building the tool if we can just tell Claude, do it, right? Here's the MCP, go for it. I'll tell you what, because there's a bunch of different options of things that it can do. There's a lot of options in MT5. And every time you tell Claude, whether it's Fable or Opus, do this one thing for me, it has to go and it has to read everything. So one, that wastes a bunch of tokens. And two is there's a higher chance that it'll make a mistake because it has to go through everything. Some of them seem similar. It doesn't know how to interpret something because it's new and it wasn't trained on this data because this is new. And so it might make a mistake. Okay, what if, and this is exactly what the skill is, you do it correctly, you have it done, the thing you want, which is run a backtest using this and that. Okay, and then you freeze it. You say, take the process that you did just now and do it exactly the same every single time that I type this skill, this /EA thing. And then it will do it every single time. The biggest benefit from this is the fact that you're saving tokens, I think. Because you can, even if it does a mistake, you can always just go back and undo the mistake. But then it's costly, and with the cost of Fable now, you have a situation where you actually want to make sure you get it right the first time. All right, so that's like a little overview of everything. See what this is doing here. Oh, please don't tell me we have another problem. All right, this is taking way too long. I suspect something happened. Let me just check. We can't really move on to the next thing until we make sure that this is completely done right. And I think we may have to do that thing I was talking about earlier, which is close all the charts sooner, because that might literally be the problem here. The fact that all these charts exist causes problems. What I'm gonna do now, because like it should just work a lot faster, is just stop the process and say what went wrong, and then I suspect that this is the problem, and we'll see what happens. So, stop. Wrong zoom, too much zoom. Good amount of zoom. This took way too long. Way too long. Okay. I'm gonna say how come. Then I'm gonna say I suspect that it has something to do with all the open charts from previously run what processes? Previously run tests. Before you proceed, explain simply and concisely what caused this to take so long. Should I do 2 dots? I feel like it's a little passive aggressive. I did it once, so I won't do it again. Okay. I don't know why, actually. It's just a suspicion. And if I was right, then I was right basically yesterday about this problem. Okay, it says you're partly right. Partly right. Three things three things ate the time in order of size. 1, the leaked charts. Your suspicion confirmed. Okay. Last night's session left 71 stray GBP JPY charts open. I diffed against the 0. Okay. A watchdog false alarm. Okay. The legitimately slow part is slicing 23 tick clones took 156 seconds. Cleanup required a second slicer pass to delete them. Alright, so before I actually just finish it and everything, I'm going to say modify the EA walk skill to always close charts when it's done, only the charts that it opened. So it doesn't just go close all my other charts. Then loosen the hardening that was the hardening that was placed earlier. I'll put easier yesterday, so that we don't have that second problem. What about the third one? The legitimately slow part, slicing 23 clones, 156 seconds. I mean, 156 seconds, okay. The actual test dispatch was only 11 seconds. I'm going to say slicing is okay. Slicing is okay. Actually, I want to be absolutely sure I know what slicing is. So I'm going to say, explain what you mean by slicing. I'm also going to say, note, yesterday it was done very quickly. So from my perspective, the only variable that changed is the fact that there are many open charts. That's my prompt, with not too many spelling mistakes. Yeah, I knew this was going to be a problem. I think the limit is like 96. I don't know if because sometimes I'll read what's going on here while it's thinking and it's thinking mode. And I'll skim it. I always skim because I don't sit there studying every single one of these things. You don't have the time, right? So if something's interesting, I'll click on it, I'll skim through it, and I saw the number 96. So I don't know if 96 was how many charts I had open, or if that's the limit, that's how many you can have. But I guess look here, 99 charts open. So it's definitely possible to have 99 open. I think 96 is the wrong number. Maybe 100? Yeah, probably 100 is the limit. All right, it's worth asking. By the way, how many charts can be open simultaneously? That is not how you spell simultaneously, but it's close. On MT5. All right, we're gonna know for sure how many charts can be open. Can't drag this. 100. It was 100. I don't know where that 96 number came from. Oh. Okay, so it's making some changes. It's loosening some of the hardening. And if you don't know what hardening means, hardening is just when you add a bunch of rules that kind of like fallback. Like you do something, this is the rule, this is the process, and then it falls or it fails. So once you get the failure, it falls back to the next thing or attempt or method or approach, whatever it is. And that's the logic. It's like, do this. If it doesn't work, don't just do nothing else after. Do this instead, right? Hardening, I think, is a bigger term. There's other things with hardening, but that's basically my understanding of hardening and how I've been using it in context and it has been working for me. I can say, do this for hardening, and it's like, okay, I'm hardening. So I think I'm correct on that. I learned it through, vibe coding and telling Claude to do stuff, and just through reading. Like if you read the stuff that it says, and its chain of thought, right? Say finishing the interrupted cleanup, right? Sometimes it'll throw out a word that's a technical word, and it's always worth it. Always worth it to do this, to go here and type this, the most underrated skill. My friend told me about it, and I was like, what? By the way, this skill. You do this, I promise you, you're gonna become an agentic engineer, not a vibe coder anymore. By the way, and then you say, what does, and whatever that thing that you don't know is, we'll call it, and it'll say mean, and you just click enter, and it opens up this secondary chat over here, and then it just answers the question for you. Here it says, see what it says. It doesn't mean anything, of course not. And then you can delete, and you can close. And your chain of thought, this one, the one that you're actually working on, was completely unaffected. It doesn't even know. Oh, we got it. All right, let's actually check the results. Still waiting on a little. Okay, nice. It's giving me some of the results over here. But this is the thing that we wanted. This is what we've been waiting for. So this is the result. It took too much clicking around and solving and asking for things to happen for it to give me the result, but it gave me the result. And you can see from this walk forward test, and just like I said in the beginning of the stream, there's overlapping periods, right? So what you end up with is a situation here where you can see literally the overlap. So this is the first window or the first walk, whatever you want to call it. And then from here to here is the second one. Okay, and then from here, here's the third one. And it gives you just the performance, a quick performance metric. Like here you got plus 601, how much you made, and then minus or plus 300, right? So you're up 900, not bad. And then shows you the minus, 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 plus, right? And this will change depending on your parameters, all those sorts of things. But overall, you get to see more, I don't want to say versions. Yeah, really versions, more versions or more outcomes of the same data. That's why I like this test, and that's why I made it. This is a problem. I just put the star over here, mean net, like the average net. The line is good because the line tells you like overall you're not profitable. Like it's below the zero. You want to be above the zero. Then again, you can change the parameters. You can do these sorts of things. But this is like a really quick way to get relatively not unbiased, but out of sample data. Just a really quick way to see data quickly that's out of sample. It'll depend on your range also. Like you can definitely have, if you choose a 6-month period and you make every single walk, I don't know, 20 days, you can have 6 months of a market regime. So I guess it always depends on the user or the tester. Are you profitable or not? Saying we got profit factor of 1.72, net P&L minus. Yeah, we won't get too deep into the actual EA for now. And what I'll do is I'll test it again on a much smaller range just to make sure it works completely before moving on. I'll say this. I'll say quick. Based on gotta put an A for the base. Based on the failures we discovered today, plus the resolutions we've implemented. I say we, like we've done this. Resolutions implemented. Will the EA walk skill just work next time? It should just work even if it's a different currency pair, different EA, and different variables, different other variables. We'll say other variables as well. Be honest. Okay. Okay, nice. So there's some information here that we might find useful. What's still a trap is deposit read back order. Parallel passes never log the deposit as collect deposit step before the calibration. Today I collected at 1000 versus the real 10,000, and only calibration caught it. Okay, so we need a dedicated calibration piece to it. I don't know if I should make it a part of this skill or just a new skill, because that can be much bigger thing. I'm gonna just put my thoughts down before I continue reading. Should we create a new skill called EA calibrate, which always automatically triggers before any other sub skill? Or should we add calibration each skill? All right, that's my thoughts. Let me read the next trap. Restore order after calibration. So that's basically also calibration, because if we have a dedicated skill for that, then that gets solved anyway. We can skip it. EA dependent needles. The weight needle assumes the EA prints a D in its line. A silent EA needs the final balance line instead. Skill hints at this, but a new EA, the first real test. Yeah, we'll come back to that. I'm just gonna write it down. I'm gonna say test real EA soon, or test other EA soon. Test other EA soon. I'll also put that to average. Works. All right. So a quick little note just to come back to that, because I don't think it's a real problem. It's just I was just saying, hey, we never really tested it on a real EA, so it could be a problem. Okay, let's find out if we should move and create this EA calibrate skill, which would probably be a really quick thing to do. Like this isn't, although this should be a dedicated skill, I think, it won't be like this thing that we build out. Calibrate just means, okay, let me go check what you already have as your settings, and let me just use those. All right, see what it says. Neither. There's a third option that's already half built. Fold it into EA's shared preflight. So we fold it into the index. That's smart because it's such a core skill that it should go into the actual main EA one. Okay, nice. I'm gonna say yes. Fold it into the main EA skill. Ensure that it is, or that the indexing remains the priority, and that the calibration functions correctly. Interesting. Well, I guess that's exactly what we're trying to do. Like exactly what I said earlier about how every time you use Claude for it to use the MCP, it has to go and choose which tool, this tool, this tool, this tool. And that just not only wasted a bunch of tokens for it to try to figure out what my settings are, like 1 to 400 leverage. You know, that's like a setting, for example. Latency is like 500 milliseconds latency. So it ran the test and then it was like, wait, I think I need to change it. And then it went and it started pulling this one, pulling that one. But then before it can pull all those settings for calibration, basically that, had to go through all the different options that there are, wasted a bunch of tokens. But not only that, like had it been successful, I would have just been a very inefficient way that wasted a lot of tokens. But it literally failed. Failed and then it tried again, which maybe eventually would have been successful. But that failure is still a problem. That's what we're resolving here completely. And so it's nice that we actually had this error now because we can make this a skill. Now, I was thinking, and I did mention that a while ago, to make it a dedicated skill because I thought it was important. And then the suggestion from Fable is like, no, just put it in the main EA skill, which makes sense because it is that important. Calibrate. Before you do anything, before you trigger any one of the sub skills, calibrate. I'm like narrating my thoughts. Okay, done. Calibration is now a 5th stage. What does that mean? 5th stage. Now a 5th stage of EA's shared pre-flight. Ah, there's multiple stages. What are the stages? Why is it 5th stage? An index. I don't need the prompt. I can just click this. Okay. So this is the actual skill. Let me do this so you can see properly. Oh. All right, expert advisor command family. Print point at an EA, get a measured answer, talks to the MT5 MCP directly. By the way, later on, I'm gonna go back and kind of reformat all of this because what happens is Claude, when it makes a skill, will often just put too much information in. Like it's as if it thinks more context is better all the time, always, but that's not true. So all this is gonna change after and only after I finish the skill family. In the meantime, okay, let's have all this information. And then sharpen and refine it. Here's the stages. Workspace handshake. Mandatory first MCP call. Cool. Resolve the EA list available expert advisors. Filter by keyword. Okay, so it's saying go through all the expert advisors, which is necessary if you're going to tell it to find an EA and work on an EA. Resolve the symbol from list open charts. Okay, same thing. So check what the symbols are. This is all pre-flight, so this is like before you run anything. Probe real tick depth. Okay, so check how much tick data we have. Cool. Calibration readback. Yeah, makes sense. Perfect. So it's doing only these as opposed to checking everything. Like for example, check backtest and do stuff there, right? This stuff here is going to be useful also later on when we add stuff here, which is the routing. So right now we have this skill, and here's the problem. So this is a thing that Claude decided to do on its own. It decided to add the auto tester, which is a completely different skill that also uses that does backtesting and stuff. it decided to add that skill. So this needs to be gone. And actually, I want to remove that now. But later on, I'm gonna like properly clean all this up. Anyway, remove at from the routing of the EA family. I'll let that do its thing. In the meantime, let me just set all this up again. Actually, before we do, we'll keep this layout so you can see what this says here. So this is the EA walk skill. Like this is the actual sub skill, and it's called our version of a walk forward test because it's a little different. Regular walk forward tests don't have the overlapping, and it does a nice little visual over here. The wizard. Got the wizard, okay. Total span. It's always better, by the way, to just go for the titles, especially if you're in an early phase of creating whatever it is you're creating. Get the functionality, and then later on go in detail. Right now, we're just trying to get the functionality, and the detail thing won't happen until way later when I have at least a couple of skills that I've committed, like I want them in. And you can always cancel and remove things. I find that that's the best way to actually create something and not get bogged down by the little details and lose yourself in a bad way. Losing yourself in a good way is possible. You zone out and you're like, all right, I'm a software developer now. Okay. Execution. Parallel only. Yeah. So the reason that exists is because the first version of the EA walk wasn't parallel. And then I added this little hack to make it happen parallel, which took basically 11 seconds to run all those tests, which was a number we saw earlier. Then it kept thinking, okay, now we have that option. We have two options. We can do parallel or not parallel. I was like, remove parallel or do only parallel, remove the other option completely. And so that's why that is caps locked or caps locked. Cold start disclosed. So we added some hardening. That's what that was. Basically, don't silent fail and then just kind of zone out and wait. Monitor, check. Didn't work, let me know. This is kind of the format for the output. All right, looks good. Looks great. I'm gonna keep the not at paragraph. It's suggesting not at. I'll keep that for now because I'm building and I have at, which is a thing. But I'm gonna remove it before I open source because it doesn't apply to other people. So I'm gonna just do that. Not at paragraph exists in EA. Remove. Okay. Cool. Okay. Should completely work now. Please work. I'm gonna go ahead and type on. Okay, now we're gonna do the whole thing again. Quick little test. Run EA walk on EUR USD. Use the stock MACD EA. Choose what do we say choose? Actually, let's just let the wizard happen so we can test it effectively. And for it to be a true test, we're gonna use Opus. Put it on low effort. Better work. The whole point. When Fable doesn't exist, I'm gonna need to be able to use you. Please work. Okay, let's see what's happening here. I'll invoke the skill. Ran a command. Looking good. Open chart. Alright, it's probably also useful to look over here at the agents. All of them should happen really quick. All of them should just go at the same time. Opus is so much cheaper, but it should still be possible. Otherwise, we failed, completely failed, and we have to figure it out all over again. At the same time, not one by one. Okay, it'll trigger the wizard before it goes and does the actual test on all of them. And so then I get to choose the date range, the walk forward, windows, the walks. And then once I actually choose them, oh, this happens at the same time. I'll take like a solid 11 seconds like last time. But extremely cheap relative to using Fable and having it do everything on its own. So let's see. Oh, I got a comment. Oh, John. Hi, John. How are you? You're gonna love this. You're gonna love this, John. Once it's done, I'm still building it. Let me explain what it is really quick. I'm just building a skill. This is the skill. It's gonna just be EA. You should be able to just type EA in your Claude and then say whatever you want, and it should be able to connect to the MCP. Did you know about the MCP? I actually didn't know. I feel like I should know about the MCP. I feel like I should be the first person to know about it, but it took me a while. I just found out last week that it existed, and then I realized all the videos are outdated. I'm good. I'm good. I'm really excited actually about this MCP, and I'm obsessed now with building this tool. This is gonna let you check to see if EAs are overfitted or not. Wait, let me show you this really quick. It's gonna look like this, the visual. If the visual still exists, I'll be able to show you. There we go, it still exists. So you get this, which is basically a bunch of walk forward, it's overlapping walk forward test, and it's using the same data, but you can see here it's like overlapping. So it's one date range, like this is the timeline, and then it starts from the beginning of the month to the end of the month, back test, and then it does another back test starting from the middle of that same month to the middle of the next month, and then it does another back test starting from the end of that first month over here, so month number 2 beginning to the end of number 2, and so on. And you get all that, and it's just kind of giving you more outcomes. Make sure that you're not that you don't have like a really overfitted data or overfitted parameter set. Debugging it, because what I wanted to do is, and this is the problem with MT5, you know how it takes so long for every single backtest? Well, that's because when you're doing not genetic optimization, it uses only one core always. I found a loophole, I say I, but really Fable found a loophole that uses all of these cores, except these two because I disabled them. And so you get to run that walk forward test where every single test runs on one of these cores, which just makes it so much faster. And this tool is really made for building EAs, not for backtesting. So it should be really quick. Like you just trigger it, gives you the thing, and then you see like does your strategy kind of make sense? Is it behaving the way you want? Probably build a different backtesting tool later. It's taking a really long time. So now I'm running it on Claude, on Opus, I mean, because it needs to work even if it's not Fable. Okay, pre-flight complete. It took a long time for the pre-flight, but at least it was complete. Let's see what happens. Okay, nice. All right, so this is the wizard, and we're gonna choose again. So we're gonna go with just the last 6 months, and each walk forward test in this 6-month period be 1 month. Why is it saying 47 walks? That doesn't make sense. That's a wrong number. One month, step 0.5, Windows 11. I want to see what happens, to be honest. But I think this is a bug because I chose 6 months. Arithmetic against 24-month span. Wait, did I choose 24 months? Did I click the wrong button? If I chose 24 months, then it'll be 40, 50, no, 50, yeah, 48. Or wait, did it say 47? Yeah, I think I clicked the wrong button. And I'm wrong, not Claude, which happens too often, way too often. Often with a T. So what I'm noticing now is that Opus takes a lot longer, but we did get there. And that's kind of the point, really, is you want to make sure that this is done so algorithmically that it works. Even if you're using like a lesser model, it'll save a lot of money, but more importantly, is it will actually be accurate. So it won't waste time. and it'll be quick, not just accurate. So that when you are creating your expert advisor and you just want to get a quick result, like, okay, did this perform or did this not? You don't have to go manually compile, set the settings every single time, choose the date range, have it change on you, and then choose again, and then get lost and like you lose your flow of your idea. You can just go like, okay, trigger EA walk skill, and then you're done, and it just gives you, it spits out the image. You see, okay, this did improve the effect, the change that I made to the EA that I'm building did improve. Okay, move on, you know. Okay, so this is what it looks like now. Oh, I don't want you guys to miss this. Agents, don't tell me it finished. No, it's still dispatching. I wonder how long it takes if I actually use those two cores as well. I'll keep them disabled. We'll use 14 cores. Honestly, this is not nearly as fast as I thought it would be. Should I leave it? I'll come back later and actually check to see, like, this is way too slow. What is the reasons? Like, it should just immediately fire this, go for this, or you don't need to go and figure out all the information that exists. There's gonna have to be a compromise between accuracy and speed. I would say speed is more important. Because with speed, like, you can just know that you did it wrong. Like, if you do speed and then you get it and then you see it and like, okay, that it's wrong, you can just do it again, make this fix. But if you're just so dead set on accuracy every single time, and it will get it right, and then you just wasted a bunch of time like we are wasting now, then it's just not, defeats the purpose, you know what I mean? Like, this is supposed to be an expert advisor tool, expert advisor creator tool that makes it easier. But if you're just sitting there waiting most of the time, then you lose your idea. Definitely needs some looking into. We haven't even gotten to the next one, which is what I really wanted to do today. Next one being like open up the EA or the IDE, like show me the logic. It said dispatching and then it said redispatching. All right, here's my new plan, my new strategy. So I'm going to use the same window, like this, the same context window where I ran Opus 5, but I'll switch Opus 5 to Fable. I'm going to say, look, it took way too long, and it needs to be so easy that Opus 5 can do it easily without redispatching. Like, just dispatch once, run all the tests. It's a one test thing, that's the whole point. Yeah, so that's what's gonna happen next. Meantime, it says use MT5 terminal, tester run backtest. Okay. Check redispatch, use MT5. At this point, it is a waiting game. Root cause found expert advisor MACD works for single backtest but is silently ignored by optimization 3. The documented subfolder no op. Compiling root level copy. Panel holds only stock default 12.24.9. So nothing is lost. Okay. So it opened up, and like this is how you know this is the MCP. It adds these, it looks green on the edges. So it opened up the IDE. I think what it's doing now is it's duplicating that stock EA, because I told it to use a stock EA. I didn't tell it to use the one that we've been using that you know where it is, you know it exists. This is a difficult test. But later on, when I get Fable 5 to check and see why did Opus fail over here, it'll probably suggest like this is the problem, this is what happened, and then I'll determine whether or not it's worth creating a subskill for that as well. Yeah, I think this is a big part of the reality of building these sorts of tools, skills, building anything really, being creative, is you shouldn't build the next iteration based on just your plan. The next iteration should depend on the feedback or the data, and this is basically data. Like trying this, discovering that this is a point of failure over here. Maybe we should, instead of just patching it, maybe we should change everything just so that either we fix it or we do it a completely different way where we don't even run into that problem. Compiled and registered. Okay, so it says compiled and registered. What it did is it went ahead and created a new version, probably like a duplicate version of that stock EA that exists in MT5, just so that I can use it and then dispatch and then hopefully use all of these cores at the same time, which is the loophole. Fable found. Because Fable can do that. I've never used the cloud. Oh no, I clicked it. Am I gonna ruin things? I've never used the cloud, but that's a lot of agents. You can run crazy amounts of it. It'll probably be really expensive though. Local network farm. Hmm. Wait, can I use CPUs on other computers in my network? Is that what that is? Because if that is, then you can just get a bunch of really cheap CPUs or cheap computers or cheap motherboards with some expensive CPUs, have a bunch of them run and they don't have anything running really, and then just use all of them. Hmm. Interesting idea. I don't know if the idea to go with, but if that's what that is, then like this is a viable idea. Yeah, I'm tempted to just click on stop, use Fable, and just start telling Fable like, look, this is unacceptable. Redo it so that even Opus can do it without all these issues. But then again, I do want it to get more of those kind of failures so that we have more context for Fable, so that Fable, when I do tell it to fix the problem, has all the information, it knows all the problems. So this is one of those situations where the best thing you can do really is literally wait for it to do nothing. Oh, did it do something? Okay, that's something was done here. I saw something. Something happened just now. Let me move this to this side here. I think we have enough data now because I actually triggered them. We don't really care about the rest of that. All right, now I'm going to do it. I'm going to switch to Fable. So go Fable, put it on medium, and type. All right, we just went ahead and triggered the EA walk skill, and it took way too long. This is mostly because of the fact that we used an inaccessible EA. But it could be because of other reasons as well. Isolate the, not isolate, list the reasons based on your experience just now. All right, so now Fable's going to think, it's like, why did I do that? I didn't do that. It wasn't me. The Opus. Opus sucks. You know, Opus can be a little better, but most of the time it's not. And it's only better sometimes with like UI. Actually, I can't even say that. Fable's just better. It's way better. I don't know how genuinely how some reviewers, like people who or testers, I guess, they'll do the same prompt, they'll put it on Opus 5, they'll put it on Fable, they'll get the outcome. Like, make this video game. Then Opus wins. I don't know how that happens, because in my experience, I guess maybe it's domain specific, you know? In my experience, it's just not. Okay, let's see. Here's what actually burned the time in order of damage. The EA lives in a subfolder, and that kills optimization 3 silently, the big one. Understood. So here's what I'm thinking now. I'm thinking maybe there needs to be a dedicated skill, which just takes the EAs, throws it in a folder, and then that folder, we already know that, you know, Claude always has access to that folder. And the reason I'm saying that is because, so if you check here, this is my file. You go to your drive, like this PC. You have in your kind of your C drive. Well, that's not the C drive, that's a D drive. In your C drive, you have different folders, and one of them is the root. One of them is the one that Claude is on and has access to. In my case, it's this one, dev. And if your empty file is in another folder somewhere else, it might not have permissions to go there. And even when you click on bypass permission, like here, there's a bypass permission thing, it's still some acrobatics that needs to happen. where Opus 5 has to go to this folder, that folder, figure out a bunch of stuff. So I'm thinking maybe a dedicated folder, and then it comes with its own little subskill, manages folder, and then that can later on become something else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to suggest that, I'm going to propose it, and we'll see what Claude suggests, because sometimes it does have nicer suggestions. Even after the fix, the dispatch to them. Sequence pre-flight. Okay. Also self-inflicted cuts my calibration. Alright, let's begin actually typing that thought down before it disappears. What if there was a dedicated, yeah. What if it was a dedicated folder which contains the EAs you have access to? Would that resolve the problem? I'm going to say, note, I ran the EA walk skill using Opus 5, which fails sometimes. This is why the EA skills must be the EA skills, the EA algorithm. Oh, can't say algorithm because it'll confuse it, because we're doing algos, but we're not talking about that type of algo. The EA skill must have very straightforward sequential processes with without too much information that could lead to drift. I'll put drift in like the brackets. Drift. Thoughts? I don't know if that's the best solution. I just kind of know what the problem is. I'm going to get a screen. I'm going to put the screen here so that I don't have to do this and then just give you my back every single time I want to see if anyone typed anything. And that way when I'm looking at the chat, which I will have over here, exactly over here, then I can actually face the camera. That's what's going to happen. That is the reality that will exist soon. Dedicated for partly yes, but not for the reasons you'd hope. On drift, I think you've diagnosed correctly, and the fix is structural. The current skill is 500 lines, 27 gotcha and as pros. Yeah. Also, the Opus 5 sometimes have concern at the root. The skill stoops depending on model quality for anything except 2 questions. Okay. Want me to build walkrun.py as the single entry orchestrator and cut skill.md down to the thin wrapper. It's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Okay, so this could change, fundamentally change the entire approach. Instead of just being a skill and then like you download it and it's a bunch of words, but the words are structured so nicely that you fully take advantage of the MCP, What if there's like a dedicated little app, like you download it, you install it, you have it, and it orchestrates, it does things, and the skill kind of routes to it. The problem with that is then you start to get into the potential of other problems. Like, does it work on that person's computer? Does it work on Mac? Does it work on these other versions of Windows even? I think it will work. Like, I'm being a little dramatic, but do I want to go down that route? Maybe I have a wrong understanding, so let's ask. Let's find out. I'm going to say, does the .py approach approach. It's exactly how it's, okay. Does the .py approach make it difficult for a Mac user to download this skill from my GitHub repo when I open source it? It says no, it's fine, it's easy, and I read it and it seems like it actually is easy and it's not just saying stuff. Then we'll go for it. The real portability problem is everything else. Break it down. Python itself is non-issue. It actually breaks the Mac and the skill drives Windows MT5 terminal. Yeah, see, that's just too many problems. Say forget that approach. Approach. Okay, forget that approach entirely. Completely. That was my bad. Spelled it wrong. That was my bad. Forget the approach completely and just clean up the text for the EA and the EA walk to make it a clear sequence of events that are possible. Use the reference tool calling ID that's available. And how do I articulate? Like, I want to say, like, even though we're making it really concise, still use your reasoning when it's applicable. And use your reasoning, and leave room for reasoning where it is applicable, but ensure that inferior models can handle it. The options should be limited. I'm also going to say, note, this is a complete revamp of the skill.md files that must result in exact same outcome when I'm gonna how do I say it? Because so the outcome is like a failure sometimes, and the exact same outcome for the times. I'm just gonna put comma. I'm just gonna put this when we were successful Of course. Of course. Yeah, sounds right. Okay. The revamp is to strip it down and reduce the amount of unnecessary and redundant words. Redundant. That was the last suggestion. I was off in terms of spelling. Okay. Yeah, so we're not going with that .py approach, meaning we're not going to have like an app that gets downloaded. And the reason I don't want to do that is just because I want the skill to actually be portable, is what it said, but inclusive. Like I want anyone to be able, anyone who has access to like MT5 desktop to be able to use it easy, and Claude easy. And I also don't want to sit there figuring out how to build the two things. One, security. Like you have this orchestrator that is on your desktop that triggers your MCP, and then you get hacked. Well, whoever is hacking you just hacked into your account, everything. So that's a problem. But then also, I would have to figure out how to do the setup. Like you set it up. Like maybe there's a wizard for it. The download, the installer. Does it need to go on the correct drive? So there's a bunch of architecture that's involved, and then there's a bunch of security that I guess is a part of the architecture, but it's its own thing, right? If it's a skill, it's just a bunch of words. Like it's the security was done already completely by Claude, right? The desktop app. So I don't need to worry about any of that. And so that's basically why I decided, let me just not go with it. Compatibility and portability, Mac users did factor in. Like I do want Mac users to be able to use it as well, but security is like the main reason. I think I was in the back of my head, but I was just was thinking maybe I'm willing to do it. Maybe I'm willing to sit there and learn all this stuff for security, which I did for buybigboat.com, which is why I know that it's a serious problem. Like right now, I'll show you the my website. Like this site, buybigboat.com, okay, has a chat. Like you can go, or a subscription, right? You go, you subscribe, and I have the full view open. So this is mine. I built this whole thing. Don't worry about the chart feature. But this is basically a large language model that has a lot of the stuff that I already have set up for my Claude, but set it up in a way where it's like easier for first-time users, people who aren't going that deep. They just want to start trading. So I'm gonna say it like this. I'll do this. Let me starting to trade exclamation. Name your chat. I used to say rename, and then I fixed it and I made it say just name. And then you have this, right? And then you got like themes. Like I can choose parchment. Over here, there's the parchment theme. It changed, got bright. Sorry if I hurt your eyes. Don't worry, I'll change it back. We'll go with obsidian. Okay, we're gonna do obsidian. I'm gonna choose accent color. I built all this. I spent too much time on on customization. That's a problem. I can go overboard sometimes. We'll go with golden hour. Yes. Apply the theme. That did not look nearly as good as I thought it would look. Looks weird. It's okay, it's fine. Well, I'll show you using this because I spent a lot of time on light mode and dark mode also. You see how See how this is white? Yeah, how do you know if it should be white or black? Because on parchment it switches automatically. And then the responses also have to switch automatically. And I had to build all that, I want to say manually, but really I manually told Claude to do it. So it's very automatic. But for example, if I say, show me the USD now, and suggest a strategy for it. I'm gonna put like an EA for MT5. I'll choose Deep Think, and this is Fable. So this is Fable, by the way. And you know, you can add, by the way, you can add. This is a little difficult to set up, but you can send screenshots. You can send different types of files, a couple of different types of files. Only the types of files that are reports for now. And like images is like it'll see documents and stuff, but it's designed to see reports because when you go on MT5, you can just right click and then take the data out and then drop the data here, and then it'll know things that you needed to know. Okay, so there's that, and there's also like a usage plan usage thing. So all this, by the way, takes so much building. You would think like, okay, I can just tell Fable to do it, but that's not how that works. Like you tell Fable to do it, and then you tell it to do this other thing, and then this other thing, and you have to tell it to do so many things for you to get to the point where you have all this. And here now it shows you like your limits. Basically, I kind of copied Claude, used their limiting structure. The reason, if you're thinking like, okay, if Claude already does all this, why are you doing it on your own and selling it as a product? Well, Claude doesn't do this. It doesn't pull out the live chart. Okay, you could use the MCP now for this, but using the MCP, like you still would need a lot of setup. You have to configure it, cost a lot. This does it algorithmically, which is why I'm so confident that I can do the algorithm on Claude with a skill, because I did it before. So this does the algorithmically. It costs basically nothing in terms of tokens, and you just get the chart. And then another thing that this does, that the skill that I'm creating doesn't do, is you can do this. You can do a line. I think I'm the first to do this. I maybe. You can do like a line, for example, over here to over here. So I just added a line. Cool. Now, so it gave me the answer, obviously, and it gave me this code, and it's Fable. So it's good code. Like you know, like you know when it's Fable that it's good. I'm gonna say I just put a line. I just put a line on the chart. What can you tell me about it? Where did I put it? Let's make it difficult because I'm always trying to improve this thing. I'm gonna add another line, pink one, from here to here, and I'm not gonna say I added two lines. I'm not gonna say one is pink, one is blue. And I'm not even gonna, I'm gonna just keep the exact same thing. This is a test. If I need to fix this after having spent all the time that I spent on this, I'm going to genuinely be upset because this needs to work now. Like this must work. This must work. Okay. Let's see. Better work. Come on, Rocket Chimp. Don't let me down, Rocket Chimp. Oh my god. No. Honest answer. I can't see it. I can propose drawing onto your chart and pull fresh out. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna say you have a tool to see charts or charting objects. Check again. Wait, I think I need to update the knowledge base. This needs to be fixed. Yeah, this definitely needs to be fixed. I will fix this ASAP. Well, we got this also. This is kind of cool. So I built this, and this shows you like your usage. Got like a little tier system. I give myself like infinite points, but I'm the owner. It doesn't really matter. We have an explore seeds page. Long story short, like I know how much security is, how much you need to spend time on security for it to work. Like you can't just build the thing, put it on someone's desktop, say, hey, use it, like connect to your trading account, and then just kind of say, okay, well, you know, cool, I'm done, I did my part. No, because then you're compromising them so hard if you do that. So, you know, that's partially why I didn't want to add like the MCP right now to Rocket Chimp, because I haven't figured out a good way to secure it. And I'm studying a lot about the security thing. Building a website, which is like self-contained for the most part on one server, is fine. Like I'm not on anyone's PC if I'm Rocket Chimp, you know. I'm just on the website bioweekbot.com. You create an account, it goes to my database. I'm able to secure it however I want. Make sure that nobody, you know, hacks, and we're good. Like we have all that stuff, the row level security, bunch of stuff that I went through. Basically, you just need a database. I need to set all the settings correctly, go for a good provider, Supabase, and all these things. So that's easy. You go take the next step and you say download my app on your desktop and put the MCP in it. Now you have problems. Now you've just opened up all your customers to all sorts of security issues. And so that's a big part of why earlier I said I don't want to go into the .py approach according to Fable. Okay. Okay, now I'm gonna use Fable. I'm gonna say quick run the EA walk skill now. Choose a short period and any EA. Just prove that it works. Once I see Fable doing it, I'm gonna do the same thing again. I'll go to a new chat or a new session. I'm gonna try with Opus again. If it still doesn't work, then I don't know. Can you undo a check that you've done? Because I checked it. Checked it because I thought it was done. This is why vibe coders are also software developers, because we're going through this too. So for all the software engineers out there who say I'm an engineer, look, I have problems too. Why don't you accept me? You see what I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with the same thing you're dealing with. Architecture, all that kind of stuff. Probably more like terms that you know that I don't, but I'm dealing with those terms too, just offloading the terms to the AI. The AI can deal with those terms as well, but I can feel the feelings that come with not having it work correctly. So that's how that works. Resuming the run. Clones sliced. I don't want you to resume a run. Start a new one. New run, fresh. We're testing functionality. Experiment D. Okay, I think it's actually working this time. Journal check. Thank you. Emit delete job for old clones. Okay, something changed, something happened here. Alright, it created all these clones. Or it's deleting clones. So this is what's really taking time. It's still an an MT5 limitation because like MT5 is just slow when you click things. Yeah, I don't know if there is a way to really speed up this process because it's just like a hard constraint that MT5 has. That's okay. Still works. Oh, okay, we have the first clone. Alright, so basically what this is the window is being created with data that we just kind of played with. We adjusted the ticks just so we can force run multiple cores at the same time and then clean up after. So if you click stop mid run, this is a problem. So somebody who doesn't know what the skill is doing sees the picture come out. This is where engineering comes in. It's like there's a term for it. But basically you design something to make the user not break it, not make it more indestructible. Just set it up in a way where the user just kind of does the correct thing. I'll make it so that the cleanup happens before the presentation of the data, and then that way somebody who's a complete noob who doesn't know what's going on doesn't say, okay, I got the data, let me quickly click stop. And then they click stop, and then you don't have the cleanup, and then you just have a bunch of fake USDs that, you know, cause problems later on. That's an important thing to do, actually. Yes. Meanwhile, I think this is actually working. I didn't see anything. Still in dispatch, but this should dispatch. There should be a bunch of lines or dots here that are red that are the same. And there should be a couple of those cores being activated. I can write that down while we're waiting for that. Clean up immediately after run. Before processing. I guess no, you need to process. So process. Or presenting. I'll just say presenting. figure out later for presenting the visual. Watch dispatch. The expert. Oh, I'm seeing a bunch of things happen in the journal. Optimization, custom max criteria not started. No on tester function. Alright, I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna paste this in here. I click stop first. I'm gonna say this. What's this error? Is it caused from yesterday's removal of the function or fitness function section of the visualizer? Problems on problems on problems. It says no. I'm just gonna say resume and then try to figure out what that actually is. But that could be the main thing. Or it said no. It's not the visualizer changed panel inherit this collision. Scuba is always exposed to your strategies panel. Okay, custom max. Thursday fitness function. You flip the panel down to balance max. Okay. Given your inferior model must not drift goal. Option 2 is the right call. Okay, so these are the solutions. We flip the panel, drop down to balance max once. Ah. Okay, so this is what the problem is. It's saying the MCP can't go and click this and choose this. But it's already chosen. Oh, so it can't choose that for the type of test that it's running. Alright, this is what I'm gonna do. Add a mini. What's that word? We just had calibration. Mini active calibration before running or before initializing the walk, the EA walk sequence. Ensure that the settings are fully configured. Then we never have this problem. Trying to be like extra sure. Actually, no. I think I'm already pretty sure that this is the correct approach. I'm gonna say then resume. I'll also say note this adjustment of the EA walk. Oh my god. What happens when you don't spell everything correctly? Then you click of the EA walk skill. This adjustment of the EA walk skill should not compromise the format and concise like this. No, like this conciseness. Consciousness. I don't even. Not compromise the format and conciseness of the text. This is the second day where I say, okay, guys, we're gonna go and build this second sub skill, which lets us edit the code. And we're still on the same first sub skill from the day before yesterday. Programming. Welcome to programming. It's okay. It's okay. We'll get there eventually, and then it will all be worth it. It will all be worth it in the end. So yes. Did it work? I think it worked. It worked. It worked. Please tell me it actually worked. Little back stretch. Such a strange little problem too. Like little things can can cascade into like these much bigger issues. That's exactly why we want to turn this into like a clear-cut frozen algorithm. Just do it once correctly, exactly the way you're supposed to. I think this is efficient, by the way. Even for me, like even though I'm building it, I'm spending all these tokens on this. Like I'll spend a bunch of tokens once, and then later on, instead of spending a bunch of tokens every single time, I'm spending a tiny bit. So it's like an investment, really. I'm instead of just building the EA tools now, or sorry, the EAs now, one by one, and then kind of resolving all the problems. I'm just solving a bunch of problems in the beginning, the ones that I do anticipate I will run into, creating this skill, and then using it to just kind of approach everything really quickly. Got a little distracted there because I saw the dispatch. I don't know if it finished or not, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is the point is it's like spending a bunch now so that the future is just easier. And to be honest with you, it's not just about like being more efficient and saving time. It's also, it just makes it more fun. Like the process of creating a new expert advisor can be fun. Your tools are good. If you have good tools, this becomes a very enjoyable process. Like it's a creative practice, you know? Like you're creating like you're drawing a painting. If you have good paintbrush, okay. But if you're trying to paint with like a stick, it doesn't really work. Unless you're like a true artist, I guess. If you meet someone who says, I'm a true artist, and they use a stick to paint and they refuse to use a brush, leave them. Save yourself, save yourself the trouble. This is what happens when you drift mentally between long waits. You sit there waiting for Claude to do the thing. You just go into like the most random thoughts ever, and then you lose your train of thought. We will solve this problem by the end of the creation of this tool. Will be completely resolved, and then we won't say crazy people things. Okay, we have one dot. We got one dot. Why do we have only one dot? Oh, it finished. I finished and I did like a little test, which is nice. We got like the windows. Um, Hold on, I don't know why I zoomed out too many times. Okay. So the one shining light is every time it does succeed, it gives me the data correctly. That's like the one good thing. And I will actually verify to make sure that all this data is correct later on. Probably off stream, like later tonight, when I have some energy again. But I already checked once before, and it was correct. But obviously I'm gonna check again before I open source this. The nice thing about when it's open sourced is you can just ask people to help check with you. I didn't realize this, but this isn't just one dot. It's more than one dot. These are the dots. And they have different performance because of the different setting that it was permanently set to, which is balance max. Which makes it look like that, where you actually have these different forward tests. So each one of those is a different walk, and I guess that's the performance. Now, the one thing that is genuinely upsetting is the fact that there's so many of these symbols now, and there wasn't before. So I don't know if you could see that just now, but basically, what's up with that? Like, why is there so many symbols? At the beginning of the stream, I said like AI does this thing, or Claude does this thing where it gets the job done, you tell it to enough times, but it leaves behind a mess. And oh wait, that wasn't the beginning of the stream. That was on my school channel. I don't have my school open. But yeah, on school I posted that, and yeah, a lot of things I need to do. I need to fix this. I need to fix. I need to fix this. Oh, I wasn't even streaming or sharing. I need to fix this and this. Yeah, there's a lot of things. it's basically telling me stop. Route it is like one of my skills that just kind of does like a little hand off. But yeah, I think it is a good time to stop actually. I'll come back on another day when I'm fresh mentally. So this was like the third session so far where we worked on these sorts of things. And like I said in the school, I guess, there will be a lot of confusion. We'll sit there trying to figure things out and take notes on things that I'll come back to fix later. Priority now for me is to fix the buyabigboat.com rocket ship thing, because that's one of the main things that lets me stand out, and why rocket ship can actually be better sometimes than Claude, even though Claude has the MCP. I feel like later on it'll be feasible for me to put the MCP into rocket ship, but for now I'm not gonna do that yet. We'll talk about rocket ship later, and buyabigboat.com. But in the meantime, like as I fully set everything up and make sure that it all works completely perfectly, buyabigboat.com, because I don't want to push it too much right now. I'm still giving beta subscriptions, by the way. Like you can get $5, you can play with Rocket Chimp because we're still working on it. By we, I mean me and Claude. While I'm doing all that stuff, I want to actually build a really nice EA tool, free, open source, on for Claude, I should say, and put it on GitHub. So, as a recap, conclusion, thank you for watching, for everyone who came, and I'll see you in the next session.